I want a non-Israeli civilian governance after that is committed to living in peace with us and doesn't condone terror, educate their children to terror, finance terror, or launch terror, which is what Hamas does, and frankly, what the Palestinian Authority would do too. So we're not going that route. But I don't want to build Israeli communities there, and I've said it openly. And they asked me, your Minister of Finance says this, and what do you say? Well, I say I disagree with him.
Israel needs to figure out this PR war. It is enough that we have just allowed ourselves to be slaughtered online. Yes, we're doing great militarily, but enough is enough. It is about time that our government and our country actually figure out a proper response to this hatred and genocide campaign that has been going on, that is causing a huge uptick in anti-Semitism across the world, a huge amount of diplomatic problems for Israel that are totally unnecessary if we could just figure out how to properly brand and respond to the narrative warfare that is going on online. And that is why I was so happy and excited to see that Bibi Netanyahu actually did an interview with the amazing Trigonometry podcast. Now, why was I so happy specifically about this podcast? Well, because the last episode he did with, I think it was, I can't remember their names even, the Nelk boys, the Kale boys, something along those lines. The last episode that he did, they didn't really push him on anything. They just kind of, and they got destroyed online, okay? They got so much hatred. And honestly, it wasn't Netanyahu's best job. He just kind of gave the answers that we already know he was going to say. And it felt very manufactured. It felt like somebody had written the answers for him. But in this episode, Trigonometry don't let him get off the hook with just like simple answers. They ask him hard questions and he responds. And Netanyahu is best when he's actually just being himself, when he's not doing what is scripted for him, but rather saying the truth that he believes in. And so I loved it, and I think you guys are going to love it. But let's hear specifically his reasoning for why Israel is losing the propaganda war and discuss if I agree with it.
There are critics of yours, Prime Minister, who will say, well, part of the reason that Israel is losing the propaganda war is when you have ministers like Smotrich making incendiary or inflammatory comments, and there doesn't seem to be any particular pushback from your government to this. They go, well, what does the Prime Minister really believe?
Well, what I believe I say. In a parliamentary system, people are free to say. Sometimes they say things they don't quite mean. It happens all the time. It happens in any parliamentary system, as you know, and it happens in Britain too. But I think that on the whole, the government is united. Most of the people are united, not all. You have a very active fringe.
Prime Minister, forgive me, but these aren't parliamentarians. These are people who are part of your government, and they remain part of your government after they say these things that to many people, even your friends, sound a little bit like ethnic cleansing is being discussed.
Well, we're not discussing ethnic cleansing, and to the extent that we have these conversations around the cabinet, the security cabinet, that is actually not being discussed by these people. But they have disagreements with me. That's part of a parliamentary coalition, and they can leave. And in fact, some of them have left the government in the course of this war. They came back because they disagreed with my decisions on hostage negotiations. They left, or they voted against, or they did both. And that's common. And to describe this as anything but unique, this is a democracy. I think there too, come on, understand, you know very well how that works in Britain and how it works elsewhere. I don't condone the idea of the ethnic cleansing. I don't seek to occupy Gaza and, settle it. I think that our goal there is to make sure that we have a security belt, a security cordon, which we'll probably
But Prime Minister, may I just interrupt? When you have your finance minister making a speech and talking about occupying Gaza, and there doesn't seem to be any pushback within the government, people quite rightly, in my opinion, would say, well, surely aren't you condoning that type of rhetoric?
No.
And it's exacerbating Israel's PR problem.
I disagree completely. When somebody says that, and I'm asked, is that your policy? And I say, no, it's not my policy. I don't intend to build settlements or communities in Gaza, and not Israeli ones. I want a non-Israeli civilian governance after that is committed to living in peace with us and doesn't condone terror, educate their children to terror, finance terror, or launch terror, which is what Hamas does, and frankly, what the Palestinian Authority would do too. So we're We're not going that route. But I don't want to build Israeli communities there. And I've said it openly. And they asked me, you know, your Minister of Finance says this, and what do you say? Well, I say, I disagree with him. And I say that, you know, he's entitled to say his things. That's not ethnic cleansing. It's a view. It's a legitimate view, which I happen to disagree with. But
The problem, honestly, with all of this is the premise of the question. The premise of the question is the propaganda war is failing because you're not condoning people who have a certain opinion in your government. And may I just say, first of all, what he's not saying here is that it is the opinion of many Israelis that the Gazans should have no right anymore to live in Gaza. Now, that doesn't mean ethnic cleansing in as much as just all of them. It just means Gaza should return to being Israel. That's not such an insane and extreme opinion. What he's saying is correct, though, that, like, it's a democracy. The man's allowed to say whatever he says, and as long as I, the leader, the one who makes the decisions, disagree with it, then he can say what he wants to say. People say crazy things in the Israeli government. People say crazy things in every government. That's just part of crazy people being in government. However, what I think is being missed here is that the premise that they set by asking this question, as if Smotrich, as if right-wing opinions in Israel is the reason for the failure in propaganda, is wrong. The failure in propaganda is because the country has not decided to deal with it properly and hasn't actually put forward the resources that are needed to rebrand this war the way that Qatar is working on branding it. That's the honest truth.
I can tell you that I think there too, the statements that nullify and challenge the various lies that are leveled at us, you just can't keep up with it. It's like a flood. I'm too busy winning the war, sometimes winning the actual war, to debunk every single lie that is put against us or against me. You know, you're vilified, you're a war criminal, you're a demon, you're demonized all the time. And it just say, noise, put that aside, win the war, win it judiciously, use just means, and have in a just war that you have to win if you're going to live and survive in this very brutal era. And let me tell you, we will win it, and I think we'll win the peace with it too. Because I think in our area, guess what, in your area too, people respect the strong.
Yeah,
and the strong have to win. The strong can be evil or they can be good, but you cannot lose. If you lose, nobody will make alliances with you. Nobody will make peace with you. You make peace with the strong. You make alliances with the strong. The strong survive, but the strong survive not only through their guts, but also through their wits and through their commitment to their cause. And my cause is the survival of the one and only Jewish state, often against incredible vilification and lies. But that's the way this cookie crumbles, but the state of Israel will not.
I haven't actually seen that clip up until this point, and I have to say, Netanyahu, he convinced me. He convinced me, as somebody who spends a lot of time saying that I am not okay with the fact that the government does not deal with this PR war properly. He 100% convinced me that I might be a little bit wrong. He made it clear that, you know, strong people need to focus on winning. Now, I think what arises from this is the question of, do we have to spend so much time trying to undo the actual damage of not investing in the PR war that it's not worthwhile? What do I mean by that? Well, if we're not putting too much energy in, like, to the diplomacy and into the PR, etc., does Netanyahu, in the time that he could have spent helping build out the strategy and actually fighting it and not calling it noise, but saying, like, let's think about how to tackle and target this, would he therefore have less complications in his war? Like, would he have to spend less time dealing with aid things and all the ramifications of the PR? But at the end of the day, he's very correct. Like, you know, I bet Elon Musk doesn't spend a huge amount of time, like, thinking about what all his haters say. And that's what he's saying. It's like, peace through strength. I'm not interested in listening to what all these people have to say. If they want to be idiots, they can be idiots. And he hones that point in a few times. When he brings up the Smotrich thing, he's like, it's a democracy. The man's allowed to say what he wants to say. I disagree with him, but he's entitled to his opinion. I don't think we should have ethnic cleansing. And by the way, a lot of people on the right wing in Israel are not happy with Netanyahu because of this. They feel like he's too soft on the Palestinians. He sends them aid. He won't do the intense military operations that a lot of us feel that he should do. But he has me convinced. He has made me think, you know, maybe he's right. Maybe we just focus on the war. Maybe we just focus on the war and we don't worry about the PR and we just let it be. and we hope for the best. I don't know. What do you think?